Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7, Achieving Results. So I'm loving the feedback coming in. I love the engagement. I love the questions. I love the topics. And so I certainly hope that there's value added here. Again, I don't know if I should keep reminding everybody of the intent of this, but I want to play my part in driving dollar per rep. That's important to me. I want to play my part in helping reps and owners make more money. And anything I can do to help in your personal and professional development, I'm all over that too. So again, keep the information coming and I'll do my best to show up, okay? So this question comes from Sami Kalafa, okay, in Montreal. And maybe I should start doing these in French, Sammy. That wasn't the question. Like, hey, can you do these in French? Je ne parle pas français. Je ne parle pas français très bien. Yeah, that tells you just kind of how rusty I am. So, Sammy, appreciate you reaching out. Originally from Morocco, now you're in Montreal running, one of the top offices. So great job there. Sammy's question, why do you think consistency in efforts doesn't automatically bring consistency in good results? Okay. So interesting. I mean, if you really want to break down the core elements of what it takes to achieve results, okay, think of let's say weight loss. That's a popular thing. Like, hey, listen, let's just get on the scale. My goal is to shed 10 pounds. My goal is to shed 5 pounds. So you can't get totally focused just on the final result. It takes something to get the final result. If you look at the left side of the equation, right? If the right side of the equation is the result, something equals weight loss. Well, the left side of the equation would say move more and eat less will equal weight loss. So in the simplicity, if the basic simplest version of achieving results, in my opinion, it's really your skill and your will. If the skill shows up and the will shows up, the results are inevitably going to come in due time. So let's just start with skill, because this is really what your question was. The effort is there. How come the results just aren't consistently showing up? Because the effort is there. Well, the answer is there's something missing in the skills. Now, I remember in calculus, I had a professor, first year calculus. Every time class happened, at the end of class, everybody grumbled because we knew it was coming. And what was coming were the PMPs. Okay, the PMPs would show up. And is that practice makes perfect? And our prof would say, no, practice makes permanence. Only perfect practice makes perfect. So here's your homework assignment, and I want you to follow the process and how to get to these results. Follow the process perfectly. Here's your homework assignment. Perfect practice makes perfect. Here you go. And as much as people would grumble, I got it. You do this over and over and over and over again. By the time it's time to take a test, you're prepared. You've got the skill set. I think of my son. I've been coaching Little League for a few years. I feel very privileged in doing that. And so it's like, listen, the kids that have the chance to go home and practice, hey, throw the ball around with your brother, with your sister, with mom or dad. Practice. Just keep practicing. Repetition is the motor of learning. I like the little batting machine that we have. You hit the ball and it wraps around the pole and then it comes back like a pitch. And so I found that I don't have to be overly directive as I'm watching my son hit this, because he sort of figures it out as he's kind of hitting a foul ball. The more he practices, the more he finds the sweet spot of the bat. So perfect practice makes perfect. You got to work on that skill. Okay? So to me, that's, you never want to beat yourself up too much if the skill isn't happening yet. That's just going to take time, and that's going to take practice. In the world of sales, practice pitching. One of the hardest exercises I ever had to do is practice pitch in front of the mirror. Hardest customer you're ever going to have to come in contact with is the person in the mirror who's judging you. First time I did it, I had a hard time even making eye contact with myself in the mirror. I'm like, if this is how I look with these googly eyes, what's it like with customers? I look shady. I look like I'm not trustworthy. So that was a tough exercise. But if I could sell to the guy in the mirror, man, I'm going to be a dangerous human being out there tomorrow. Practice. Okay, so skill. The will piece, I think, is a little trickier, a little more interesting. I want to read a quote for you. There's a Tony Robbins quote. He says, "People are not lazy. They simply have impotent goals. That is, goals that do not inspire them." I remember first time I came across that, I'm like, that's a pretty bold statement to make, that people aren't lazy, because in my lifetime, I feel like I've come across lots of lazy people. So, and Tony's not a guy to just kind of, talk falsely. I mean, I've been a big fan of him. I mean, the man speaks truth. People are not lazy. They simply have goals that don't inspire them. And that's where the will is attached. Another way to look at this, I've heard this before, big why, big try. Tony would say, hey, if you've got little try, right? If the effort's little, well, it's because the why is little. Little why, little try. So do your goals inspire you? Do you have purpose in what you're doing? Are you thinking big? Is what you're doing connected to something that's going to lead to something that's very satisfying for you? Big why, big try. I think a lot in today's world, there's a lot of, listen, I'm not passionate about it. That's how I justify the effort. I mean, the effort's not really there because, listen, the passion just isn't there. It's not like you're walking into a fast food restaurant and you're seeing people, giving you excellence at every turn. And some would say, yeah, listen, it's just a job. I don't really care much about this job. And they'll give you maybe a half-hearted effort. I'm not trying to insult fast food. I'm just trying to think of all the places you experience maybe little effort. It's a lot of times people saying, listen, I'm just not passionate about it. But what's interesting is in the relationship between passion and effort, the effort has to come first, and then the passion shows up. It's not like, well, when the passion's there, then the effort will be there. Listen, if you're in the habit of giving a 50% effort, day after day, week after week, year over year, by the time a passionate endeavor happens to fall in your lap, you're completely ill-prepared because you're not used to giving 100%. But again, if the effort is there, it's interesting, little passions will show up. Little did I realize when I first started in sales that I had a passion to serve people, to make people smile and laugh in the field. So I'm like, wow, this passion wasn't there before. It just showed up. The passion to train and develop people, well, that came in due time too. So the effort was there first, and then the passion showed up. So remember, the effort's got to come first, and then the passion will be there. And then again, you got passion and you got effort going on. You've got big will. But don't use a lack of passion as an excuse for less than your best effort. Okay? Just a quick little analogy I thought I'd throw at you in the world of, like, let's say NFL. Let's just pick on the NFL. So the NFL minimum salary, I believe, for 2022 is $705,000. So lowest pay of a person on the team is going to be $705,000. In the world of highest paid receivers, okay, Amari Cooper is the highest paid receiver in 2021, $22 million with the Dallas Cowboys, okay? So the question is, what's the difference between the guy who's making $705,000 and the guy who's making $22 million? Well, if you think about this, like I've heard a lot of times when I've asked the question, I've heard a lot of people say, well, if I threw 100 balls to Amari and I threw 100 balls to the $705,000 earner, okay? If you threw them 100 balls in practice, what number do you think they're going to catch? Well, it's not like the guy who makes $705,000 is going to catch 70 out of 100 balls. How did the guy get drafted in the NFL if the guy can't catch the ball? I mean, maybe you're on the defense. You're not going to be a wide receiver if you're not catching 99 out of 100 balls in practice. And Amari's catching 99 out of 100 balls in practice as well, too. The difference in pay happens it happens after the player gets hit. The player that makes the minimum salary catches the ball, does his job, caught the ball, got it, gets hit, and is on the ground. Whereas the Amari Coopers of this world, you catch the ball, you get hit, and somehow you keep finding your way to the end zone. It's what you do after you get hit. It's the will to keep the ball going, the will to keep the play alive. It's that will that's worth the difference of $21.3 million. So again, it's interesting. You want to get the result, okay? If the result is the goal, there is an equation. Just look at the left side of the equation. How's my skill going? Is there room for improvement with skill? And is there room for improvement with my will? Big Y, big try. So that's what I have for you there, Sammy. Sorry I couldn't do it all in French, but maybe some other time. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon.